This story comes from one of my subscribers, and trust me, it's one of those late-night delivery stories that gets under your skin fast. Before we start, make sure you're subscribed, and let me know in the comments what time it is for you, and where you're watching from. All right, let's begin. My name is Alexander. I've been a delivery driver for DoorDash for about 4 years now, mostly doing late-night runs. People assume nights are dangerous, but honestly, I've always preferred them. Less traffic, fewer parking headaches, and most customers who order at 1 or 2 a.m. tip pretty well. But a few months ago, something happened that still makes me uncomfortable driving after dark. I've told this story to only 2 people, because every time I think about it, I get that sick, heavy feeling in my stomach. And I swear, if I had had a dash cam that night, it would have ended up on the news. It was a weekday, I think a Thursday, and I'd already done maybe 6 or 7 deliveries. Typical stuff: fast food, milkshakes, a Walgreens run. The night was calm, crisp, and quiet. I remember I had a half-eaten bag of Doritos in the cup holder, and the faint smell of the cheap air freshener I keep clipped to the vent. I was listening to some late-night talk radio, because music gets repetitive after a while. Around 2:15 a.m., I got an order from a diner I'd never heard of. It wasn't far, just a few blocks past the industrial park on the east side of town. I noticed right away that the delivery address looked weird. It wasn't a house or apartment building. It was marked as some kind of auto repair lot, the kind that's usually gated shut after 6 p.m. But the order was for a large vanilla milkshake and 2 slices of pie. That didn't exactly scream mechanic. I almost declined it, but the payout was good, too good to ignore. So I accepted. When I pulled up, the street was empty, the air cold enough that you could see your breath. The lot itself was fenced, but the gate was open a few feet, just enough for a person to slip through. The shop had no lights on, not even the big sign above the garage doors. It looked completely abandoned. And yet someone had placed an order for pickup here. I should have trusted my gut and left, but I didn't want my acceptance rate to drop and, stupidly, I kind of assumed it was just some mechanic working late. I texted the customer, "Hey, I'm outside." The message delivered instantly, but no one responded. I waited a minute, 2 minutes, 5. Then, from the far side of the open gate, a figure stepped out from the darkness. I flinched so hard I knocked my phone into the passenger footwell. The person was walking slowly toward my car, tall, wearing a dark jacket, hood up, hands in pockets. I reached over and quietly locked the doors without taking my eyes off him. He stopped beside the passenger window and bent a bit, trying to see inside. I cracked the window about an inch, not enough for him to reach through. "You the one with the order?" I asked, trying to sound normal. The guy nodded, but something felt off immediately. He didn't look at the food, didn't reach for it, didn't even move. He just stared at me. His face was mostly hidden in the shadows, but what I could see didn't help. His eyes were wide, glassy, and fixed on me in this way that felt predatory. Like I wasn't a delivery driver, I was prey. "Can you unlock the door?" he asked. No greeting, no thanks, nothing. I told him I couldn't do that, but I could hand him the food through the window. He just shook his head. "You need to let me in," he said, a strange, flat tone in his voice. "It's too cold." I said I couldn't, company policy and all, and pushed the milkshake toward the cracked opening. He didn't touch it. Instead, he leaned closer. I could smell him at that point. Stale cigarettes, sweat, something metallic. My skin crawled. Then he asked me something that I'll never forget. Do you ever worry about picking up the wrong delivery? Just like that. Calm, casual, like he was talking about the weather. My breath caught in my throat. I tried to laugh it off, but it came out shaky. He kept staring. I asked you a question, he said quietly. Hasn't it crossed your mind how easy it would be to get into someone's car? My heart was pounding so hard it made my hands tremble. I tried to end the conversation. Look, man, I've got other orders. Just take the food. He didn't even glance at the bag. Then, slowly, he raised his hand and pressed it flat against the glass. Not slamming, not tapping, just resting it there. The pale of his palm contrasted sharply against the window, and for a second he just stood like that, staring directly at me. You're not listening, he whispered. I rolled the window up as fast as I could, almost catching his fingers. He jerked his hand back, but didn't move from the spot. I put the car in drive and pulled away, but he stepped directly in front of me. I hit the brakes so hard, everything in my back seat toppled over. He turned toward me, tilted his head slightly, like he was studying me, then pointed to the back seat. Let me in, he said. Just for a minute. No, I mouthed, gripping the steering wheel so tightly my knuckles hurt. His expression shifted, not angry exactly, but disappointed, like I'd failed some unspoken test. Then, as if some internal switch flipped, he stepped aside, backing toward the darkness of the lot. I didn't wait. I floored it, speeding out of there so fast I nearly missed the turn at the end of the block. I didn't end my shift right away. I drove straight to a well-lit gas station and sat there for 20 minutes, shaking, before marking the delivery as undelivered. I wrote some excuse about the address being unsafe. DoorDash didn't ask questions. I figured that was the end of it. But it wasn't. 2 days later, I was scrolling through local news while eating breakfast, leftover pancakes from the diner down the street. I wasn't even looking for anything serious, just killing time. Then I saw the headline. Man found trespassing inside closed auto shop after break-in. I clicked it immediately. The article described a trespasser who had been hiding inside the same abandoned auto shop I'd delivered to. Police said he was violent when approached and seemed to have been living there off and on for months. But the part that made me drop my fork was the photo. It was him. The same jacket, same height, same face. The article said he'd been arrested after an officer found him attempting to enter a parked vehicle across the street. He'd been trying to get into someone's car, just like he tried with mine. I called the police tip line, but the officer I spoke to sounded uninterested. They said they'd note it, but I doubt anyone cared. After all, nothing technically happened to me. Still, for weeks afterward, every time I pulled up to a late-night delivery spot, especially if it looked abandoned or poorly lit, I'd get this bone-deep dread. I started triple-checking my back seat, installing a dash cam, texting my girlfriend every hour so someone knew where I was. I still drive at night, it's how I pay my bills, but I'm not the same behind the wheel anymore. And sometimes, when I'm waiting outside a silent building for a customer to come out, I think about that man's voice. Do you ever worry about picking up the wrong delivery? And the truth is, now I do, every single night. I'm not someone who scares easily, or at least I didn't used to be. I grew up in a loud Boston neighborhood where people argued on their porches at 3 a.m. and car alarms went off at random. Noise was a part of life. It didn't bother me. But after a construction accident at my old job, a metal beam slamming into the concrete right beside me, something in me changed. Every sharp sound felt like a punch to the chest. Every sudden noise sent adrenaline flooding through me. My therapist said I developed a kind of acoustic sensitivity triggered by trauma, which is a fancy way of saying loud sounds mess me up now. I couldn't stay in the city, couldn't handle the sirens, the trucks, the constant banging. It felt like living inside a pressure cooker. So last year I rented a small place in rural Vermont, not a cabin, just an old farmhouse tucked at the edge of a forest. Nearest neighbors were a 10-minute walk down a winding dirt road. I figured the quiet would help, reset my nervous system. And for the first couple of weeks, it did. My first night there, I remember the silence was so complete it almost scared me. No honking, no motorcycles, no construction, just crickets and rustling leaves. The house smelled like cedar and dust, old but clean. I slept better that night than I had in months. Every morning I'd make coffee on the tiny electric stove and sit by the window watching fog drift through the woods. It felt like stepping into a different life. But then things started shifting. It began with small sounds, distant tapping, a faint thump somewhere in the woods. Normal country noises, I told myself. Squirrels, branches falling, animals moving around. But then the sounds started getting closer, more intentional. One night, around 11 p.m., I heard a soft, rhythmic tapping coming from the tree line behind the house, like someone knocking very lightly on wood. Tap, tap, tap. Too steady to be random. I turned off the TV and listened. Tap, tap, tap. Then silence. I tried to ignore it, chalked it up to an animal. I even opened my laptop to distract myself, but 10 minutes later the tapping came again, slightly closer this time. Tap, tap, tap. My skin prickled, my chest tightened. I shut all the curtains and left every light on. Eventually the sound stopped. I didn't sleep much. The next morning I walked outside to check the backyard, just to prove to myself there was nothing to worry about. The ground was covered in leaves, but something stuck out. A single line of small indentations trailing from the woods to the back porch. Footprints, but not clear enough to identify. Could have been a deer. Could have been boots. I decided not to think about it. 2 days later, I met the only nearby neighbor, an older man named Walter, while getting my mail. He was in his late 60s, wearing worn-out overalls and a Red Sox hat. Friendly enough, but one of those people whose eyes seem permanently tired. "You're the one renting the Harris place?" he asked. "Yeah," I said. "Just moved in." He nodded slowly, then glanced toward the woods. "Make sure to lock up at night," he said, "even if it feels quiet out here." I laughed awkwardly. "Anything I should worry about?" He hesitated. "Not if you stay alert." Then he walked away without explaining. I told myself he was just being Vermonty, cryptic, rural, whatever. But after that conversation, things escalated. One night I woke up at 3:04 a.m. to a sound that made every nerve in my body seize. Someone knocking on my bedroom window. Not loud, not aggressive, just a slow, steady knock. Like they were trying not to wake me, but also trying to see if I'd answer. I didn't move. I barely breathed. The knocking stopped after maybe 10 seconds. Then I heard leaves crunching outside, moving toward the woods. Soft footsteps retreating. I sat awake until dawn. That morning, I searched around the house again. No prints this time. Nothing disturbed. It made no sense. I considered calling the police, but what would I even say? Someone knocked quietly? Instead, I doubled down on safety, locked every door, bought a cheap battery-powered alarm that chimes when a window opens, kept a flashlight next to my bed. But nothing prepared me for what happened next. 2 days later, around 9 p.m., there was a knock at the front door. A normal knock. 3 short taps. I hesitated, then asked, "Who is it?" "It's Walter," a voice called. Relieved, I opened the door, but only a crack. Walter stood there holding an old lantern. "You got a minute?" he asked. I stepped outside. The porch light flickered slightly, a thing it had never done before. "You been hearing things at night?" he asked quietly. My stomach dropped. "How did you know?" He sighed and looked out toward the tree line. "Harris, the guy who lived here before you, he left fast. Didn't even take half his things." "Why?" I asked. "He kept hearing things too. Kept telling me someone was coming around the house after dark. But every time he looked, nothing was there." I felt cold. Did he ever see anyone? Walter paused. He said he did, once. A tall guy in dark clothes standing by the back steps. But when Harris blinked, the guy was gone. I frowned. Gone like he ran off, or gone like he was never there? I didn't know what to say. Walter glanced at the woods again. "Listen, whatever you're hearing, don't go outside when it's dark. Don't answer any tapping. Keep the curtains closed. And if something feels wrong, it probably is." Then he handed me the lantern. "Keep this by your bed," he said, "just in case." I didn't ask in case of what. I didn't want the answer. From that night on, the noises got bolder. Sometimes I'd hear slow footsteps circling the house. Sometimes the porch boards creaked, like someone stepped onto them and stood still. Sometimes I'd hear whispering, faint, unintelligible, drifting through the walls. The worst part was the silence that followed. Whoever or whatever was out there always moved away before I could look. About a week later, things reached a breaking point. It was just after midnight. I was lying in bed, reading to distract myself, lantern beside me. The wind outside was barely moving. Then I heard it. A single knock on the back door. Not the window, not the siding, the back door. Followed by another. Then a voice, not Walter's, not anyone I recognized. A low, strained voice saying, "Let me in. It's cold." I froze. The words sounded wrong, like the person didn't know how to sound human. "Please," the voice tried again. "Let me in." I grabbed my phone and whispered, "Who are you?" The voice went silent. For a long, terrifying moment, there was nothing. Then I heard breathing, right on the other side of the door. Slow, heavy, purposeful. I dialed 911. Before the operator picked up, the doorknob rattled. Not twisting, just testing. Then footsteps, slow, dragging ones, moved away from the house, into the woods. By the time the police arrived, nothing was there. No footprints, no marks, no signs of forced entry. They drove around for 20 minutes, shrugged, and told me to be cautious. I moved out the next morning, packed everything into my car before the sun was fully up. Before I left, I went to say goodbye to Walter. But when I knocked on his door, no one answered. The sheriff's office later told me the house had been empty for months. They said no one named Walter lived on that road. I still don't know who I talked to. I don't know who knocked on my window, and I don't know what was whispering at my back door that night. I need to get something off my chest, something that's been gnawing at me for months. Every time my phone vibrates now, even if it's just a notification, I freeze. My hands go cold. My mind jumps right back to that night. The night I realized that not every threat is loud or obvious. Sometimes it's a quiet, calculated thing, My name's Alex, by the way. I'm a junior at Ohio State. My best friend Tyler goes there too. We grew up on the same street, rode the same bus every day from first grade through high school. He's like a brother, honestly. Every Thanksgiving we drive home together. Our hometown is only about an hour and a half from Columbus, but we always leave late, partly to avoid traffic, partly because that's how it's always been. Stupid tradition. Last year, that tradition almost got us killed. It was the night before Thanksgiving break, around 11:45 p.m., when we finally pulled out of our apartment complex. Tyler was driving his old Honda SUV. The thing rattles so much you feel every bump in your spine. And I was in the passenger seat with a bag of chips and a half-warm hot chocolate. "If we leave now," he said, backing out, "we beat the midnight drunks. Perfect timing." I laughed. "Yeah, because your driving is so much safer." It was a normal start, familiar. The roads were nearly empty, campus was dead quiet. We put on our usual playlist, a mix of early 2000s rap and some nostalgic pop songs we used to blast in high school. About 20 minutes into the trip, just as we merged onto Route 23, the long, dark stretch of highway with barely any exits, my phone buzzed. Unknown number. I ignored it. Tyler joked, "Dude, that's probably another final notice scam telling you your car warranty expired." I let it ring out and went back to scrolling. 2 minutes later, it buzzed again. Same unknown number. I frowned. What the hell? Who calls twice? Tyler glanced over. "Answer it. Maybe it's your mom." "It's not her number." "Well, maybe she lost her phone." I sighed, rolled my eyes, and answered. "Hello." At first, there was silence. Then, faintly, like someone far away from the receiver. "Alex?" I felt a weird jolt go through me. "Who is this?" I asked. No answer. Just breathing. Slow, measured, intentional. Then the guy spoke again. "You're on 23, right?" My stomach dropped. "Who is this?" I repeated. The man didn't raise his voice, didn't sound rushed, didn't even sound creepy in an obvious way. His tone was calm, almost bored. "You and Tyler, heading north." I looked at Tyler immediately. His grip tightened on the wheel. "Hang up," he said quietly. I did, and my hands were shaking. "What the hell was that?" I asked. "No idea," Tyler muttered, eyes locked on the road. "Probably some idiot trying to freak you out." But I could tell he didn't believe that. We drove in silence for maybe 5 minutes, both of us running through every possible explanation. Some hacker, a spoofed number, someone from school messing with me, whatever. Then my phone buzzed again. Same number. I almost dropped it. Tyler cursed under his breath. "Don't answer it," he said. But I did. This time, the man didn't hesitate. "Don't look behind you." I swear my vision tunneled for a second. I stared at the dashboard, heart pounding so hard it hurt. "Alex," the voice said, "you did exactly what I thought you'd do. Good." My throat went dry. Tyler kept his eyes straight ahead, jaw clenched. "Put it on speaker," he whispered. I did. The man continued. "2 boys driving late at night. Predictable. Every year, same route, same time. You're easy to time." Tyler swore. "Who the hell are you?" The man chuckled softly, like he was genuinely entertained. "You don't remember me, Tyler?" Tyler went pale. I looked at him. "You know this guy?" He swallowed hard. "No, I swear, I don't." Before I could say anything else, the voice on the phone said, "I'm in a car behind you." Tyler slammed on the brakes so hard the seatbelt punched my chest. My heart nearly exploded. I twisted around, looking through the rear window. Pitch black. No headlights, no cars, nothing. Tyler sped up again, breathing shakily. "There's no one back there," he muttered. The man on the phone whispered. I didn't say I had my lights on. I snapped my head back to the road behind us. Still nothing. Then, far back, I saw something. Movement. A dark shape in the distance. A vehicle. No lights, no reflection. Just a silhouette emerging from the darkness in slow, steady motion. Getting closer. "Drive," I said, voice cracking. "Drive faster!" Tyler floored it. We were doing nearly 90 now, the engine groaning, the whole car shaking. The dark vehicle behind us kept pace easily, closing the gap in seconds. My phone buzzed again. Same number. I didn't answer. The voicemail icon popped up instantly. Tyler said, "Don't play it." I did anyway. The message was only 3 words. "You can't outrun me." Tyler whispered, "Jesus." I don't know how, but Tyler managed to spot an exit, one of those small rural ones with a single streetlight and nothing else around. He cut across the lane and took it, tires skidding. The dark vehicle behind us didn't follow. We sat at the bottom of the ramp, shaking, gasping, watching the empty highway above. No car, no headlights, nothing. My phone buzzed one last time. This time, I didn't answer. But a text came through. It said, "Wrong exit." Tyler's breathing turned into hyperventilating. We drove to the nearest gas station, a tiny 24-hour place that smelled like burnt coffee and bleach. We ran inside and stayed there for almost an hour, waiting, listening, watching through the windows. No one followed us. No car pulled in. No more calls. Eventually, we gathered enough courage to finish the last 40 minutes of the drive. Tyler refused to get back on 23, so we took back roads through farmland. It took twice as long, but we made it home around 3 a.m. Neither of us slept. The next morning, we checked my call log. The number was gone. Not deleted. Gone. Like it had never called at all. The voicemails were gone too. We tried to report it, but what do you tell police? A car without headlights chased us? A phantom number knew where we were? They'd laugh at us. So we let it go. Or tried to. Because here's the thing. 2 weeks ago, on a random Wednesday afternoon, I got another missed call. Same area code, no name, no voicemail. And an hour later, Tyler texted me. "Dude, I think he called me too." That's why I'm writing this. Because I know he's not finished. And I know, absolutely know, that whoever he is, he's planning something. I will keep you updated.